On this week's Curry Shed, we have a very nice and one of my favourite dishes, a Chicken Rogan Josh. I'm just going to set the temperature or the gas to about a 75% rating. So it's not too hot, but it's not too cold either. Now, as you can see there, I've got 2 bottles of oil. Now, this one I'm using is a seasoned oil, which is basically oil that I've cooked in about 50 onion barges in. I then sift out all the main pieces, if there's anything in there, and then filter it out slightly, just so it gets out all the smaller particles, but still keeps the added flavour. And this is one of the biggest secrets that the BIR restaurants use to get that sort of unique flavour and the smell that you get when you go into an Indian restaurant. So I'm just waiting for the oil to heat up a bit, and now I'm going to put in 5 slices each of red and green peppers. Now, the temperature isn't too hot, but it is hot enough to actually scald or burn these very quickly. So make sure that you keep them moving in the pan all the time. So I've just done enough for them to be pre-cooked, and just turn the gas up slightly because I noticed it was a little bit low, and I'm now going to increase it even further because I need a bit more heat for the next stage. No time like the present to do a little bit of housekeeping. So I've added 1 teaspoon of ginger garlic paste. Now, as you can see, it did flare up, but just remove it from the heat immediately and it will extinguish it. Now, the idea here is to make sure that all the sizzling subsides, and at that point you know that you've cooked it through. Now add in 1 teaspoon of fenugreek leaves and probably about half a ladle of base gravy, just to keep things moving. But as you can see, the pan is still very, very hot. Now, I've just turned the heat down slightly because for the next ingredients, which are going to be the spices, I do not want to burn them, and it's very important that we get the right temperature. But before that, I'm going to add some tomato paste. Again, I don't want it too hot, so I've turned it down very slightly. And by cooking this properly, we'll bring out the sweetness in the tomatoes. I did turn it down a little bit too much, so I've just notched it up very slightly. Now I'm going to add in all the spices. Now, this is 1 teaspoon of garam masala, 1 teaspoon of chili powder, 1 teaspoon of salt, and 1 tablespoon of mixed powder. Now, it's obviously going to make that sort of dry in the pan, so I've just added another half ladle of base gravy just to keep things moving. But as always in my videos and all my curries that I make, do make sure that you keep scraping around the outer edges of the pan, because they're the hottest part and that's where the spices are going to burn very quickly. It's now time to add a full ladle of the base gravy. Now, I've just turned the heat back up again, so we're probably on about full heat at the moment, and this will make sure that we get the cooking done very quickly. And as we've added more base gravy, there's no fear of the ingredients now burning. So I'm just going to leave all those ingredients in the pan just to simmer through very, very lightly to make sure that the spices and the base gravy starts to break down. So in with the chicken. This is pre-cooked chicken, and if you want to see how to do that, have a look at one of my other videos which shows you exactly how to do pre-cooked chicken. I use pre-cooked chicken because that's what they use in BR restaurants. It's the only way to get things done quickly. So I've added 2 teaspoons of Greek yogurt. Now you can use any type of yogurt, but I prefer to use that one. It's a little bit thicker, a bit more creamier, and it makes the consistency of this particular curry, a Rogan Josh, just that little bit nicer, in my opinion. So I'm just stirring, making sure that it doesn't stick to the bottom of the pan, because there's nothing worse than a burnt curry. You may have noticed that I also adjusted the temperature. What I've done is I've turned it down to about half now. So because we don't want to, we've cooked all the ingredients, the spices should be cooked, the base gravy should be cooking quite well and going down to a good consistency. And obviously the chicken is already pre-cooked, so we're not trying to cook that. So it's now just a matter of just simmering it all the way through to make sure that all the spices and all of that yogurt is incorporated within the curry. Now I've just used 1 tomato and I've divided that into 4 quarters, and this has been added to the curry, just gently stirring it all around, and then I'm going to leave it alone for the pan to do its own thing. Now add in a further ladle of base gravy. This is going to make it a little bit thinner and the consistency will be better. So it's a matter of just adding base gravy in small parts. Don't sort of put it all in one go, because you'll overpower it all and you'll cool it down too much. The idea is little and often. A little bit of housekeeping as well. So I'm not going to touch it for a little while. I'm just going to let that simmer through and let it bubble up. Again, as you've noticed, I've just turned the temperature just down a little bit before, and now I've just turned it up very slightly because I want to try and cook this all the way through, and I did notice it was a little bit low. And even though I've been doing this for a long time, you will have to keep on adjusting the heat. And that's why it's very important that on these videos I show you step by step in real time, so you're not missing anything out. Now, to make this a little bit sweeter, I've added some smooth mango chutney. Now, when you buy a mango chutney, it's going to probably be quite chunky. So what I do is add a little bit of water to it and use a small stick blender just to break it all down to make it into a smooth chutney. Giving it a good final stir, and I just couldn't help myself. I had to just adjust the temperature once again. Finally, I'm going to add a good handful of chopped coriander leaves. Now they're quite finely chopped, and I'm consistently scraping the edge of the pan, as you can see here. This is going to remove everything from the outer pan. As I said, it does get very hot. You do not want to be burning this curry at any stage. This was probably one of the reasons why I decided to have a curry shed, because no matter how much care you take over cooking these curries, you're always going to get splashes. And that's why I built this purposely, because I would not like to have my wife's kitchen smelling of curry all the time and be stained with the different sort of additives that I put into curries. So we're now coming up to the final stages. I'm just ensuring that nothing is sticking to the bottom of the pan. I'm just going to leave it alone for a short while, just to simmer through now. As you can see, the Chicken Rogan Josh is an absolutely easy curry to make at home, and with very few ingredients. So just one final stir around, and I think that's going to be about it really for this curry. I'm not going to plate this one up or put it into some fancy dish, as I'm going to be putting this straight into the freezer. I've done a few of these in one day, and I'm now going to put it into a plastic container. This is a 600 milliliter plastic container with a lid, and I would just store it in there, allow it to cool down, pop it into the freezer, and then I can have this anytime. And to be honest with you, it tastes better when it's been left for a little while. So there we have it, a lovely Chicken Rogan Josh. And just to finish off, a few leaves of coriander. Thanks for watching, see you in the next one.